One without warning, this young man starts slaughtering his family's cows, shocking everyone. Nobody can understand what he is doing until a girl demands he stop. This is the exact same girl who coldly rejected him just yesterday. Now rumors say she would take him back for money, but she snaps. The boy ignores her denial, coldly telling the crowd they are far too curious. Get lost, he tells them, especially her. She turns around, completely furious. She swears she will never be nice to him again. He ignores her. He only reacts when his worried parents finally get home, demanding answers. They are incredibly anxious, but they are completely unprepared for what happens next. The young man breaks down, overwhelmed just to see them standing there. He tearfully hugs them both tightly, whispering how good it is to see them alive. No time to explain, he tells his parents they must trust him. They must not get in his way. His intense gaze completely stuns them. His father is the first to step forward, offering his absolute faith. An old village woman tries to interfere, calling the boy completely insane. She tells the mother to stop her husband from supporting her crazy son. But the mother immediately snaps back, calling the old busybody the crazy one. Now the family stands united, stronger and more determined than ever before. He has a plan, but slaughtering all these cows alone is impossible. He only has 4 hours left, 4 hours until the end begins. So he shouts to the crowd, offering top dollar to anyone willing to help him. Instantly, the gossiping villagers start praising his absolute business genius. Within minutes, he has a full hired crew processing all the meat. He contacts local suppliers, offering to sell everything at a massive discount. A cargo truck arrives shortly after, quickly hauling all the fresh meat away. He receives a heavy bag of cash, which is exactly what he needs. His parents desperately beg him to explain what he is planning to do. He promises to explain later, but orders them to stay inside the house. They have no idea why, but they choose to trust his warning anyway. Their son has never let them down, so they lock up. The young man hides the cash, repeating his warning to lock all windows. Do not open for anyone but family, he says, driving toward the city. Only 2 hours remain, 2 hours before the absolute nightmare begins. Animals will mutate first, hunting down humans like prey in a sick twist. Next, humans will turn into zombies, devouring one another in the streets. In a flash, almost the entire human race will face total extinction. His greatest trauma is surviving, while his entire family perished. He has no idea how he was reborn years after his death. But things will be different now. He is ready to change history. He must buy fuel, generators, food, medicine, and critical tools. But his very first stop is a warehouse to secure gunpowder. He steps inside to meet a gangster named Jack and his assistant, Olivia. The boy reveals a bag holding $100,000 in cash. Jack smirks, assuming the money is a dowry for his assistant. But the young man firmly demands it all be spent on gunpowder. He plays by the rules, but William just smirks, suggesting Jack ask the dead woman instead. She lost her life here recently. The mention completely catches Jack off guard. Jack freezes, then barks at the girl to go check the inventory and grab the gunpowder. As she passes, William whispers that her father once helped him, and he pays his debts. Someday he will return the favor. This guy is getting highly intriguing. William arrives back home packed with gunpowder, yelling out for his parents. Instead, his brother Lucas answers, warning him that Isabella is still not back yet. William is stunned. She should have returned by now. He instantly prepares to leave. Heading out, a dark thought hits him. Did his regression trigger a butterfly effect? Speeding toward the school, expecting absolute madness, he suddenly slams right into an animal. Stepping out, he finds a zombie dog. It is 1 hour earlier than he calculated. The apocalypse is starting ahead of schedule. Meanwhile, back at the school, some mean girls are teasing Isabella about her brother being a simple butcher. They mock the raw meat he brought as an engagement present. Isabella loses her temper. She slaps a phone straight out of a bully's hand, hoping the teacher confiscates it. Let them try getting it back without their parents. Walking away, she keeps her head high. She coldly warns her to watch her step, but Isabella forgot one tiny detail. They are both stuck on cleaning duty together, and the bully wants some bloody payback. She pulls out a box cutter, eager to slice up Isabella like a cow. William finally reaches the campus, but the entire place has collapsed into pure hell. Isabella is drenched in fresh blood, though none of it belongs to her. Bolting to the balcony to scream for help, she looks down at the courtyard. It is a bloodbath. Suddenly, a mutated student turns and lunges straight at her. Through some insane stroke of luck, or maybe just plot armor saving the day, the monster trips over its own feet and face blunts, but her bully is still coming. The infected girl lunges forward like a feral beast, teeth bared for a bite. Out of absolutely nowhere, William flies in and dropkicks the monster in the skull. Without missing a single beat, he draws his butcher blade and ends the threat. He kills it instantly. Soon, they are speeding back toward their home village. Plowing through undead on the road, Isabella tries to laugh it off like a game. But she is visibly trembling. William tells her she does not need to act tough. She can cry if she wants to. Determined to stay strong, he makes a promise. He will protect their family this time around. That brings a tiny smile to her face. By nightfall, they reach their quiet village. He safely hands his sister to their parents. Then he announces he must leave again. There is someone he has to track down. They must lock down the house. Isabella assures their mother things are different now. She felt it when he held her. His strength is totally different. William leaps across rooftops, searching for a survivor who wielded massive power in his past. A future legend. Meanwhile, across the city, a terrified girl holds a door shut. Monsters are slamming against it, while two completely useless guys just watch in terror. Suddenly, the doors burst open, and monsters tumble inside like garbage. But the girl notices something weird. They are not crawling toward her at all. Someone else is butcher chopping them from behind. It is William, eyes completely cold. Startled by his chilling gaze, she freezes as he suddenly appears right beside her. He cleaves a monster trying to grab her, then roughly checks her face. He checks her for wounds. Thankfully, she is completely unharmed. Blushing, she looks nothing like the cold woman he once knew. Meanwhile, those two useless bystanders complain about him killing the zombies. They have no clue those were actual zombies, so William tries to explain. Calling for help is totally useless now, but right then, look who arrives. Jack, the local gunpowder dealer, suddenly shows up and starts rallying the crowd. He claims William is just making up fairy tales to hide a crime. But Bea steps right in, fiercely defending him by explaining he saved them. William appreciates her support, but says he will prove those things were zombies. Anyone who tags along with him will find out the terrifying truth soon enough. Since nobody steps up, William turns to Jack, challenging him to follow him. Jack finds it highly suspicious that the young man is so incredibly prepared. He already knows everything in advance, which makes Jack feel extremely uneasy. He openly admits he is terrified because William is a literal killer. Yet he tags along anyway, bringing his bodyguards. Bea insists on joining them too. The guy with glasses also volunteers, desperately searching for someone he lost. Another survivor offers to drive his van. Soon, they arrive at the location. They find the missing leader's abandoned car and immediately begin searching. There is blood and clear signs of struggle leading straight toward a cave. He warns the group of the danger, insisting on scouting ahead alone. Naturally, Jack accuses him of plotting a trap, claiming that's his real plan. This finally pushes William over the edge, telling Jack he is getting on his nerves. If Jack is so brave, he can step inside right now and find out. Jack instantly freezes, completely paralyzed by the terrifying bloodlust rolling off of William. Suddenly, a zombified girl bursts from the shadows, sprinting right past him. The guy with glasses immediately runs toward her, screaming out her name. It is Shin, the exact person he was searching for, but she lunges to bite. William appears in a flash, cutting her down and saving him from a fatal bite. The devastated man drops to his knees, weeping and screaming that William murdered her. He vows to make him pay, but William simply knocks him to the ground. Keeping a grim expression, William tells him that Shin was already gone. She had turned, leaving him with no choice if he wanted to save them. Hyuntao staggers up, his voice cracking with a mix of grief and rage. He spits back that it is easy to say when it isn't his family dying. Would he stay calm then? Those words strike William like a physical blow. His mind flashes back to his past life, seeing the cold, broken bodies of his loved ones. They were soaked in blood. Gasping for air, he suddenly snarls and grabs him. He hoists Hyuntao into the air effortlessly, his gaze turning sharper than a blade. In this life, absolutely nobody threatens his family and gets to walk away. As he raises his weapon, Jack interrupts the tense silence with a mock laugh. He sneers that William might not be any different from the monsters. Right at that split second, a heavy hand clamps down on William's wrist, halting him. The force sweeps him to the floor as a familiar, gruff voice growls out. He is told to snap out of his blind rage. It is his older brother, Lucas, who now glares down at the trembling Hyuntao. Agony of losing his wife. Suddenly, William shouts, "You saw what she became." No. One wanted this. If you need someone to blame, blame me. Her death is on me. 2. Right now you must snap out of it. You are a leader, damn it, they still need you. Hango trembles, clenching his fists, giving a slow, broken nod. The heavy tension finally cracks, just. Then a desperate cry echoes from the cave, begging for help. It was the village. Chief William freezes in his tracks, frowning. Something feels incredibly off. The tone is far too human. One of Jack's thugs rolls his eyes. What a bunch of scared babies, he scoffs, boasting he will drag him out himself. He struts directly into the cave but does not get far. A wet slicing sound cuts through the silence. His torso is split clean from his waist, blood spraying everywhere. A grotesque zombie drags out his severed upper half, casually flinging it aside. And right behind that monster, hundreds of terrifying, glowing red eyes light up. The absolute darkness. The entire horde has awakened, and it is a total nightmare. The endless sea of undead pouring from the cave is absolutely staggering. Even if he manages to fight his way out, how can he possibly protect both Summer and his brother? Thankfully, the brothers have trained since childhood under a tough military master, making their skills absolutely elite. Aim for the head, they are pretty sensitive to direct light, William warns. The brothers move in perfect sync, slashing and dodging like pros, clearing out the immediate area in minutes. Meanwhile, Jack has already scrambled behind a nearby tree, too terrified to even breathe, but deep inside. That same eerie cry for help echoes once more. William and Lucas exchange quick glance. You guys head back, William says firmly. It is too dangerous. You will only slow us down. Then, without hesitation, the two step right into the deep darkness. Before long, William stops abruptly. A corpse lies. A head dried out like a husk, its heart completely missing. That same voice calls out again, whispering unnaturally through the air. Lucas raises his flashlight, sweeping the beam across the damp cave. Sitting there is the village chief, completely silent and still, and then he snaps around, pale face, empty eyes, and from his chest, slimy tentacles begin to unfurl. The creature lunges at them with terrifying speed. William reacts instinctively, slashing his blade directly toward its head, but the moment it strikes, he knows something is wrong. It barely flinches. This is definitely no ordinary zombie. This monster is a mutant. Suddenly, tentacles whip out, sending William crashing hard into the cave wall. Lucas quickly sweeps his flashlight beam. Catching its face, it screeches, recoiling violently from the light. They seize the chance, scrambling out of the cave. Gasping for breath, Lucas turns to his brother, stunned, asking what on earth that thing was. William exhales slowly. He believes they are looking at a cross-species infection, some kind of genetic recombination between animals and humans. It is no longer just undead, but fully evolved. He nods toward the dark, explaining it is a second-stage variant. Likely once the village chief, William glances up at the bright full moon. Good thing it is bright. These monsters fear light and won't emerge easily. Lucas looks at him in complete disbelief, asking since when he became a virologist. William probably watched one too many documentaries before the world went to hell. The group was preparing to head back, planning a return the next day with better gear to handle the mutant, when suddenly a swarm of glowing red eyes erupted from the dark cave. A horde of mutated bats blacked out the sky, in seconds completely swallowing the moonlight. Taking advantage of this chaotic moment, the mutated zombie launched forward like a projectile, heavily smashing into Lucas and sending him flying. One of its nasty tentacles lashed out. It instantly shattered the flashlight. Its intent was totally clear. It had locked directly onto Lucas. William gritted his teeth and pulled with all his strength, but it was useless against the monster's power. The strength was far beyond what any normal human could ever resist. Just as its jaws were closing around his brother's hand, William stood frozen in sheer terror. Then out of nowhere, a speeding car crashed onto the scene. The driver was Bea, who acted instantly, aiming the vehicle directly at the target and ramming the beast hard. William absolutely did not miss this critical opening. He surged forward and delivered the final blow, ending the creature's life for good. But then they realized this monster was actually their own village chief. Bea was visibly shaken, while Lucas let out a weary, deeply sincere sigh. He tells her that without her quick arrival, they would both be dead. Before they catch their breath, William freezes. He spots it deep on his brother's forearm, a fresh, unmistakable bite mark. Lucas just smiles weakly. He apologizes, telling William that he has to look after their family now. No explanations needed. Those brutal words rip straight through him like a blade. Deep down, he already knows the awful truth of what he has to do. His duty is clear. Looking at his infected brother, William is overwhelmed. He is absolutely consumed by guilt. He thought being reborn would let him rewrite fate and save his family, so why is history repeating itself? Suddenly, his eyes lock onto the massive corpse of the mutant village chief. He rushes over, pulls his blade from the monster's skull, and starts hacking at its head repeatedly, with relentless fury, dark blood splattering everywhere. Lucas, thinking his brother has totally lost his mind from grief, yells for him to stop immediately. Bea also tries desperately to pull him back, but William ignores them. A crucial memory has just flashed in his mind. He remembers that elite-level zombies absorb and store pure viral energy from weaker ones, condensing it into a crystallized core deep inside their heads. Seconds later, he finds a dark, blood-red crystal nestled inside the skull. He turns back to his brother, his voice remarkably steady and eyes burning with hope. He tells him there is still time left. Holding out the glowing crystal, William explains with a heavy, serious tone that this is a highly concentrated zombie core, sharing the exact same biological source as the infection inside his body. If he swallows it, he might evolve into an immune mutant, but there is also a risk of instant mutation. Lucas barely hesitates, snatching the core and gulping it down instantly. William is stunned, but deep down he knows this was their single remaining hope. Lucas smirks, jokingly asking if he seriously had this the entire time. William flatly tells him he could have saved the drama, asking when it kicks in. Lucas nods, turning toward the cave and saying it will take about 2 days. If he is not out in 2 days, William should seal it up, but if he gets superpowers, no jealousy allowed. Watching his brother walk away with such casual ease, William feels the tension shift. That heavy weight in his chest finally lifts. He truly believes in his brother. With a faint smile, he whispers he will be waiting. Hidden behind a nearby tree, someone watches. Lingy had been eavesdropping nearby, his face twisting into a sinister grin. He realizes exactly how things stand. Fine then, let him help speed things up. The next morning, as the sun rises, Vanessa barges right into her brother's bedroom. She is wearing makeshift battle armor, loudly announcing that it is time to get up. William stares, asking what on earth she is wearing. She looks like a walking trash can. His proud sister explains they absolutely need to reinforce the defenses of their home. To do that, she spent the entire night crafting this bizarre armor. She is clearly fishing for a compliment, but her brother has other plans. He simply pokes her with one finger, sending her rolling straight out of the house. Walking outside, he asks if her plan is to roll over zombies and score a strike. Their dad notices them and climbs down from the defensive wall he was actively building. The old man grabs a heavy barrel of black powder, walking over with a massive grin. William demands to know where he got it, warning him that this is no toy. But the stubborn man just runs off with his explosive, shouting he has important work to do. William just prays the house does not blow up, simple as that. Suddenly, William hears his sister rolling outside, accompanied by their mother. He definitely does not need a DNA test to confirm those two are mother and daughter. He asks his mom if they have any breakfast since he is starving. She claims she is too busy training her secret, deadly sweeping technique. Suddenly, someone is about to ring the bell just as William opens the door. To his surprise, a gorgeous young woman is standing right there on his porch. It is Bea, and she is here to ask him for a big favor. His curious mother wanders over to greet her, while Bea turns back to William. She explains that the village committee has successfully started organizing their defenses. Everything is fine, but she contacted the county police station late last night. Since then, there is only silence, no message, no reply. William checks his phone, no signal. This is definitely strange. This did not happen last time, and honestly, things are getting pretty weird. If they are totally isolated, they might miss critical news about possible help. She asks William to accompany her to the county to investigate the situation. William stays completely silent, deeply troubled by her unexpected request. Seeing his clear hesitation, Bea bows her head to apologize for asking. She knows his brother went through hell yesterday, and now she wants another risk. Even so, she truly believes discovering the truth is their shared responsibility. Since he is their best fighter, she really needs his help. Besides, William currently understands those deadly monsters better than anyone else in town. Suddenly, his mother cuts in, demanding that they stop this conversation immediately. But then the old lady says something that completely catches them off guard. If Bea had not helped yesterday, her foolish son might never have returned. Her face registered surprise, and the woman waved them inside. She rummaged through a dusty wooden shelf without turning around and spoke, "Your father and I are your actual parents. We are not here to cage you, only to protect you, not hold you back." She added something even sweeter, "Look at you, my son, so big, strong, handsome, and so brave." Then she pulled out a long, heavy blade and handed it over. William was meant to use this. They departed together. He did not say a word, but the women started chatting away. You can tell who runs things. His mother watched them drive off, murmuring to herself, "They look like a beautiful couple," she said, "and that girl will give her gorgeous grandkids." Meanwhile, deep inside the cave, Lucas sat completely still, waiting to see how his body would react to the zombie core he swallowed. Suddenly, he heard the faint sound of footsteps, thinking it was his brother, and called out, "William, wait, do not come any closer." Just yet, then he felt cold liquid pool around his boots. Frowning, he dipped a finger in and brought it up to sniff. The moment he smelled it, his expression went pale, gasoline. Before he could react, a spark ignited at the entrance. A deafening blast erupted. Furious flames tore through the stone tunnel. Meanwhile, William and Bea were driving fast, heading toward the county for help. Bea sat in the passenger seat, staring nervously out the window, softly humming a tune that was totally off-key. William glanced overthinking to himself that she was completely tone-deaf, noticing. His look Bea flushed pink and muttered, "Sorry, I hum when I am." Nervous, I know it sounds terrible, but William was not laughing, in fact. He felt a strange warmth. She was clearly terrified, yet still forcing herself to keep going. Yes, he thought, that is the Bayer I know, with so many unexpected changes this time. He knew he could not rely entirely on his past memories, but her ability to sense zombies. That was something he simply had to trust. Out of nowhere, he said, "You should stay at my place." She froze, staring at him, her cheeks turning bright red. "Why would I do that?" she asked softly. William did not even notice the shift in her voice, still trapped in his own head. "If I told her about her future powers, she would never believe me. So instead," he said plainly, "because I need you safe. I cannot afford to lose you." Just as her face flushed deeper and she went to ask why, William suddenly frowned. Up ahead, the road was totally blocked by a massive landslide. They quickly got out of the car to inspect. Looking at the mountain of debris, Bea sighed in deep frustration. "There is no way we are reaching the county now." William did not reply immediately, but inside, he was incredibly tense. This road was fine in my past life. Something has changed, not just the timing of events, but the actual path. If this path is blocked, they were going to face serious problems with getting supplies down the road. He finally exhaled. "Let us head back. We will figure something out." Bea nodded quietly. On the way back, his mind raced. They had enough supplies to last them a while, but with zero signal and no real way to escape, everything felt like it was closing in. Suddenly, the car jolted and slid dangerously toward the edge of the bridge. He slammed the brakes and grabbed the He wrenches the wheel, tires screech, halting the car inches from the edge. They both scramble out. That's when Bea spots a spike strip on the road. William warns her back. It was clear this trap was placed on purpose. Suddenly, a mocking voice calls down from above, forcing them to look up. They look up. It's Jack, perched on the bridge railing, spinning his pistol. William stares in silence as Jack gloats, blaming him for wiping out his crew. He lost half his men last night, and as their leader, he won't let it slide. He leaps down, pacing forward, but William stays dead calm. William calmly suggests he fight zombies if he wants revenge, but Jack isn't listening. Jack completely ignores the warning, continuing to mock him and calling him a coward. The guy snaps, threatening Jack's life. William calmly reaches for his blade. He dares the punk to try. Right then, Jack raises his gun. Right at that moment, Jack aims and shoots Bea. She collapses, blood pooling on her shirt. William completely freezes, screaming Jack's name in pure shock. But Jack just cackles, completely enjoying himself. He admits he wanted William to feel real pain, gloating that breaking loved ones is the best way. He mocks William for lacking the courage to finish his bitten brother. Jack brags that he blew up the entire mine himself. Those words strike like lightning. William's eyes burn with rage. With a furious, deafening cry, he draws his sword and charges straight at Jack. Jack smiles, ready to shoot, but trust me, he didn't see this coming. A dark shape suddenly bursts from the trees, a Tier 2 zombie wolf lunging forward. It tears Jack's arm clean off, leaving him screaming on the ground. William stops, completely stunned. Meanwhile, back at the village, Isabella sits on a rooftop, swinging her legs and wondering why her brother isn't back yet. Suddenly, loud, frantic banging echoes from the main gate, accompanied by desperate shouting. They're yelling for William. Isabella spots Huanta and Uncle Neo. She shouts that he isn't home. Hango points toward the hills. Hango points toward the distant ridge, urgently telling her to take a look. She clicks on her phone's flashlight, aiming the beam across the dark slopes. When the light hits the hillside, her face instantly turns completely pale. An endless wave of zombies is pouring toward the village. Back on the road, Jack lies in a growing puddle of blood. He mutters through gritted teeth, questioning if this is really how it ends. That's when the zombie wolf turns its glaring, bloodshot eyes straight toward William. His instincts instantly scream that he's in trouble, realizing the beast has locked onto him. With a howl, it lunges. William sidesteps with precision, blade ready. His blade cuts deep across its chest mid-charge, sending black blood spraying everywhere. The beast crashes down, whimpering. William exhales, keeping his guard up. It is still only dusk, meaning the creature is not at its full strength yet. But once total darkness hits, he knows they won't stand a single chance. Right at that moment, dozens of deep, guttural howls erupt from the surrounding forest. This is no simple patrol group, his heart sinking as a massive horde appears. The village chief was supposed to be behind this, but he is already dead. Could those bats be the real source? The terrifying thought barely forms when the wolf strikes again, claws tearing through the air. William barely twists away. His heart hammers. Even with that massive wound, the beast is still blindingly fast. He watches in pure shock as the deep slash on its chest rapidly heals. Before he can even react, the wolf charges again, jaws wide. Meanwhile, deep inside the cave where Lucas lay buried, the ground trembles. Rubble shifts as a low rumble grows louder. A massive blast tears through the rocks, and out steps Lucas. His body glows with a faint red hue, a cold, warped grin spreading across his face. Back on the bridge, Bea stands completely frozen, her eyes wide with absolute horror. She watches the zombie wolf clamp its jaws shut right toward William, whispering and begging for his survival. Right then, a violent red aura bursts from William's body. A fiery glow pulses beneath his skin, unleashing raw, unstable power. With a feral roar, he drives his fist straight into the wolf's jaw. The beast reels from the heavy blow, shrieking as blood pours from its mouth, then crashes hard to the ground. William doesn't hesitate, his eyes glowing blood red. He leaps forward, raises his blade high, and brings it down in one clean slice. The wolf is split in two. When the dust settles, Bea stares at him in total disbelief, her voice barely a whisper as she calls his name, William. Turns to her with a faint smile, "I'm here." Then he drops to one knee. Utterly drained, Bea lets out a quiet laugh, incredibly relieved he's still alive. She glances at the mangled remains of the beast, then back at him, calling him completely insane. Honestly, it doesn't even surprise her anymore. Deep down, she already believes he can fix anything. William looks down at his hands, feeling that strange power still pulsing under his skin, wild yet somehow contained. Where did it come from? Could this actually be an awakening? But something doesn't add up. In his past life, no one awakened without a crystal core, and he never touched one. The thought cuts short as the undead close in fast. He stands right up, his expression hardening. There is no time to think. They have to move. Staying here means death. Noticing Bea's bleeding leg, he steps in without a second thought. She can't run like this, so he has to carry her, despite the intense pain. Draining the color from her face, she gives him a determined nod. The snarls of the approaching zombies grow louder, cutting through the air like blades. William acts instantly, hoisting Bea onto his back and sprinting toward the village. With everything he has, the outline of the village finally comes into view, but the dead are closing in fast, their numbers overwhelming, even if he fights them. There is no way to keep Luna safe in this chaos, just as they close in. But talk about perfect timing. A loud roar erupts as a vehicle tears through. Undead crushing everything in its path. It's a customized off-road truck, fire blasting from its exhaust, burning a path right through them. The driver spins the wheel hard, sweeping the tail wide and torching zombies left and right. The truck skids to a violent stop. The window rolls down, revealing William's father with a cigarette between his lips and a huge grin. He shouts over the roaring engine that he has his son's back. In the passenger seat, William waves enthusiastically, ready to light things up. Once everyone climbs in, William's father slams the gas, speeding toward the village as more undead swarmed right behind them. William ordered his crew to unleash the dragon bombs. William quickly obeyed, tossing 3 homemade firebombs out the open window. Loud explosions erupted, immediately engulfing dozens of zombies in raging flames. Yet some kept running. Still on fire, the burning creatures pushed forward relentlessly. William's father just snorted, declaring that they would finish this right now. He tossed a black powder barrel out and flicked his lit cigarette right into it. The massive blast lit up the road, trapping the entire horde behind a wall of fire. Sitting in the back, William cheered and clapped, clearly loving all the wild chaos. Up front, William and Bea traded a look, totally unsure whether to feel relieved. Honestly, you can't blame them. These parents seemed crazier than the actual monsters. Suddenly remembering the first aid kit, William reached down and pulled it out. But when he opened it to grab bandages, William quickly snatched them. She teased him he could not just touch a girl's leg like that. Not unless there was some secret romance going on. Bea let out a quiet laugh. Her face flushed. William rolled his eyes, sighing that she always caused trouble. Deciding to ignore her completely, he turned and asked his dad about the village. His father kept his eyes glued directly to the rearview mirror. He answered they were holding. The massive horde had not broken through yet. William looked over at all the dynamite piled up in the back seat. He asked if his dad really made it and smoked right next to it. His dad laughed, explaining he used to be the demolition guy in the local mines. Once the mines shut down, he had absolutely nothing left to blow up. He tried experimenting with home firecrackers, but William's mom quickly put an end to that. Sighing deeply over his lost passion, William suddenly narrowed his eyes. William asked if that big kitchen explosion last year was actually his father's fault. His dad tensed up, whispering for William not to tell his mother. Soon they reached the village gate. As they stepped out, loud shrieks echoed. The screams came from inside the house. William's father instantly froze in fear. Rushing forward, he tried the handle, but the front door was locked tight. William immediately stepped up, shattering the lock with a knee strike. Inside, things were completely unreal. His mother was holding a zombie by its neck. Totally calm, she stared at it and recognized her old neighbor. It was Auntie Zhang. William and his father peeked from behind the broken door. They hesitated to step inside. A cold glare from her sent chills down their spines. Terrified, they chose to stay hidden. William finally gathered the courage to call out. His mother did not even look up, casually gripping a heavy frying pan. She scolded the zombie, saying its debt did not disappear just because of this. Then she slammed the heavy frying pan directly into the zombie's face. Apparently, she was still owed 500 from their last card game. She'd given her 600 for college, but got absolutely nothing in return. Plus, the neighbor had talked behind her back. This was payback. William stared in shock, whispering to his dad about her strength. Puffing on his cigarette, his dad answered that she had always been like this. In the old days, nobody within 10 villages dared mess with her. It took 3 to. It took 5 men to hold her back, but things calmed down once she married him. Honestly, she kind of forced the marriage. Suddenly, a flying frying pan sails through the air and smacks him right in the back of the head. She screams liar, saying he begged to marry her from inside the house. Then she turns her furious glare toward William, and you busting down the gate like some big hero. Just wait until she gets her hands on him. William takes a cautious step backward, desperately looking for an escape route. Before he can run, Bea steps in to defend him, telling Maria it is not his fault. He was only trying to protect her. As Bea finishes speaking, William's mother freezes mid-step. She slowly turns around, her fierce expression instantly softening. She greets Bea warmly, claiming she was only joking and telling her not to worry because she is always incredibly easygoing. William just stands there, watching this bizarre scene unfold. Her extreme mood swings are honestly more terrifying than the undead horde. Suddenly, a blood-curdling screech echoes from the courtyard. While a zombie scales the barrier and roars, but before it can jump, a heavy blow slams it backward. Wang Tao stands triumphantly on top of the wall, urgently shouting that the monsters are already breaking through. A massive swarm is pressing in from the west. William locks in, drawing. Upon his inner power, red energy crackles across his body as he charges. Straight into the fray, his father throws explosives while his sister fires a homemade cannon, and his mother charges in, swinging that deadly frying pan. For the first time, William is absolutely sure of their victory. They are fighting as one. No monster gets through. He is not alone anymore, and with his family, they will survive this nightmare. But suddenly the tide turns. The zombies at the back suddenly retreat, leaving William completely frozen in pure, quiet disbelief. Are they actually running away? William scowls, knowing that is simply impossible since the undead do not feel fear. But then they return bearing ladders, crowbars, and saws. This is organized. William's father stares in absolute disbelief. They have tools. Are they facing an undead army or a military siege? William's voice drops to a dark whisper. They are not acting alone. Someone is directing them. Scanning the chaos, William spots a figure on a distant rooftop. His eyes narrow. It is Jack, the monster who should have died in that massive explosion. He stands there with a twisted, mocking grin, watching them as the family compound is assaulted from all sides. Relentless waves of undead pour inside like a massive flood. William's father grits his teeth in frustration. Why are they targeting this specific spot? He looks toward his daughter, demanding more explosives. Her voice trembles with panic. They are completely out. That was the very last of their supply. Nearby, Wang Tao screams over the chaos, warning William about the side wall. He turns and sees them climbing. His heart sinks. This is a distraction to split their defenses. Down below, Bea and his parents are surrounded, fighting with everything they have. The whole family is locked in a brutal battle for survival. William's eyes narrow again as red energy crackles. He tells his parents to defend the yard while he handles the rest. Power erupts around him as he leaps off the wall, plunging directly into the swarm. His father watches, pure dread. Clutching his chest, he tries to scream out, but there is no stopping this. The monsters swarm, burying William beneath a massive mountain of rotting flesh. Claws and teeth, but under that crushing weight, William stayed dead calm. He shut his eyes, drawing out the storm of power within, gripped tight on his blade. He growled through clenched teeth. Blood barrier, earthbreaker force, blood. Azura go. With one fierce motion, he slashed his blade outward. A red shock wave erupted, shredding everything in its path. Absolute chaos. To pieces, tossed aside like trash. Through the rising dust, William stood, gasping for air. This technique triggered a memory. In his past life, he had seen it once, wielded by the Dawn Legion Supreme Commander, one of the strongest fighters to ever live. But William knew his own technique was still incomplete. But who cares? He didn't need to be perfect. He just had to be strong enough to protect those he loved. His glare locked onto the figure watching from above. These monsters are nothing, he realized. The master behind them is the real threat. To end this nightmare, I must cut off the head. More monsters charged, but William grinned, his red eyes burning. You really think this trash can stop me? But as he spoke, a massive roar erupted from behind. A cold dread washed over him. He spun around, catching sight of a zombie lunging at Bea. Before it reached her, his mother swung a heavy pan, smashing it away. She rushed over to Luna, her voice trembling. Are you hurt? Did it bite you? Shaking and still catching her breath, Luna shook her head. No, I am fine, Maria, she panted. Where is William? He jumped. There a moment ago, nearby, William Ming yelled out. I saw him. He was ripping them apart like a superhero. He'll be fine. But then the ground shook violently with a deafening boom. Panic set in. And guys, this looks incredibly bad. Through the rising dust and rubble, she saw William lying on the ground, beaten, bloody, and broken, struggling to stand. He screamed with every ounce of his remaining strength. Run. Do not come near Ron. Looming directly over him was a massive zombie, bared twice the size of a truck, sharp steel spikes covered Its body, its eyes burning like coals, heavy breath hissed like steam from hot iron. It was hunting him. Pain flared everywhere, still searing through his broken body, but he refused to stay down. Clenched, his eyes remained locked on the beast. This is my fight. I has to end it. No more victims, not this time. His eyes ignited with raw fury as he unleashed his last resort, Payaki. Crimson aura erupted around him like a raging forest fire. He stood ground before the giant beast, jaw set tight. If I die here, I will die keeping my family safe. From the courtyard, his father, mother, and sister screamed in absolute terror. William, run, but he did not budge. An inch, the monstrous beast roared and lunged, a claw swinging down like a descending blade. William rolled aside, barely in time, but then, before the next blow landed, a deafening clash rang out. Well, well, so you can pull off this kind of strength. I thought you were slacking. The dust cleared to reveal William Ming, effortlessly stopping that massive claw. Sorry to keep you waiting, little bro. William stared in absolute shock. He stretched his shoulders with a confident smirk. Took a bit of time. Then, with a single twist of his arm, William easily hurled the giant bear. It flew like a derailed train, crashing heavily into a pile of ruins. A deafening boom echoed, shaking off the dust. William just smiled. Still breathing, a pretty tough hide for an oversized hamster. William turned back calmly, telling his brother to go handle what only he could. William smirked, his eyes were cold as steel. He slowly turned around. His eyes locked onto Jack, who stood tall on a distant rooftop. Suddenly, memories of his past life flooded back, his family dying before him. The screams in the night, the bitterness, the rage, the endless nightmares. But this time, with power in his hands, he would destroy every threat. He stepped forward, voice cold and sharp. Jack, you still alive? Jack turned slowly, his severed arm now replaced with a grotesque beast claw. He let out a low, rasping laugh, saying he was a completely different person now. The old Jack is dead, he grinned, with fangs fully exposed. This body is completely broken free from all limits of humanity. He claimed he was part zombie, part man, commanding the horde with his mind. In this apocalypse, he was king, while zombies swarmed the building below. Jack stood tall, eyes closed, basking in the dark power surging through him. With a smirk, he told William that he really ought to thank him. He had been thinking about exactly how to repay him for such a gift. And just like that, a single flash of steel cuts him right off. William's heavy blade came down hard, splitting Jack's head clean down the middle. Blood sprayed like a geyser. William calmly sheathed his sword. He muttered that Jack was still the exact same coward, just louder now. Did he really think he was fit to rule? William turned away, scanning the field. With Jack gone, his brother would face much less pressure on his end. But then a chilling laugh echoed behind him. Was that it? William turned slowly, only to see Jack's broken body rising once more. The gash in his skull knitted together, bones snapping back into place. Jack's eyes glowed a feral red as he grinned, his voice deeper and more monstrous. He laughed, telling William his blade could never kill him. William froze. He instantly raised his blade, placing it before him. He realized Jack had inherited the zombie wolf's insane regeneration. He had to end this immediately, but before he could strike, Jack vanished. He suddenly appeared beside William like a shadow, whispering venom into his ear. He hissed that they were the same, urging William to join his new era. He claimed the dead would serve them, and humanity would become mere livestock. Gesturing toward the swarming hordes, he offered a small, welcoming gift. He bragged about clearing out all the inferior bloodlines surrounding them. Down below, the massive zombie tide had already breached the outer walls. Inside the courtyard, William's parents, Bing Bing, and the others fought desperately. They struggled to hold the line as Uncle Neo shouted out for William. The west side was collapsing. William's father panted heavily. He urged Shio and William to hold on, hoping they would finish soon. Before he can catch his breath, boom, a massive crash shakes the earth. A giant bear carcass slams down, kicking up thick dirt and blood. From behind the wall, William Ming's mischievous voice suddenly rings out. "This guy takes a beating, let's use him to patch the hole." His father turns quickly. He feels relieved, but also incredibly tense. "Shio Shu, how is your brother? Is William okay?" Endless hordes of zombies continue to close in on them from all sides. No escape, he clenches his jaw and turns to his father with firm determination. "Do not worry, father. William has more potential than me. He will end this." But get this, William is in serious trouble. Jack sends him flying, crashing down with a brutal, bone-shattering impact. Thick dust explodes around him as he lies there battered and heavily bleeding. Jack slowly steps down, crouching atop the ruined rubble with a cruel sneer. He mockingly tells William to bend the knee and beg for his life. "Kneel and your king will forgive this foolish rebellion," but before he finishes, a blinding crimson streak of raw energy suddenly cuts through the air. William charges, burying his sword deep into Jack's chest, sending him flying. He crashes through 3 stone walls. Through the dust, William stands tall. Voice cold as ice, he declares that humans do not walk with beasts, especially not the savage monsters that dare to bare their fangs at his family. Sword dripping blood, he slowly marches toward the crumpled monster. His judgment is absolute. "Jack, it is time for you to die." But Jack stands tall, his massive chest wound heals instantly. Licking blood off his claw, he coldly asks if that is so. Calling it a complete waste, the monster officially sentences him to immediate death. He lunges forward, bringing his deadly claw down like a heavy falling guillotine. William barely gets his sword up in time to block. Sparks fly, the monster is just too strong. His arms shake violently under the relentless pressure as Jack keeps raining down heavy blows. A sudden, searing pain rips through his arm. A deep gash tears open, bypassing his protective blood barrier entirely. William instantly kicks back to gain some distance, breathing heavily. He stares at the wound, his blood Usura shield is shattered. Across the field, Jack sneers, licking his claws. The beast mockingly admits he expected to see William's guts spilled by now. William feels his strength rapidly draining away as his vision begins blurring. His protective aura is failing, and honestly, the end looks near. Looking up, he stares straight at the monster, gripping his blade tighter. If there is only one final strike left in him, he will put everything into it. But before William can move, Jack suddenly appears in front. With glowing red eyes, the beast grins and whispers that he has finally caught his prey. William freezes for a split second, and that is all the beast needs. Jack's sharp claw slashes across his chest, opening a deep, brutal wound. As blood paints the ground, William desperately reaches deep into his coat. With one last surge of pure willpower, he hurls a homemade explosive straight at Jack. Fire, roaring flames explode, instantly engulfing the entire area. But from deep inside the raging fire, Jack's mocking voice echoes out. He asks if a cheap Molotov was honestly supposed to kill him. The smoke clears, revealing an untouched Jack, but William is gone. Jack blinks, he runs, cackling like a total lunatic. He yells that William's blood smells like a bright flare in the dark. No hiding, his grin vanishes instantly, and his eyes turn dead cold. "Run all you want, William." Jack promises he will find him and tear him to pieces. Elsewhere, William collapses inside a dark convenience store, desperately gasping for breath. He clutches his side, sweat, blood, and pain blur together. Still, his grip on the blade remains solid as he leans back. The bleeding has finally stopped, not fully healed, but it is enough. He feels a flicker of surprise. His blood Azura technique actually worked. But his relief is incredibly brief. He has only one move left. One last chance. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echo right outside the door. Then Jack's cruel voice booms. Really, William, choosing to die in a trashy gas station like a peasant. A sharp claw drags across a rusty van, throwing bright sparks. Metal screeches as he slows his steps like a patient predator. He calmly explains the rules of this hunt like a cold predator. Do you know why wolves hunt even when they are not hungry? It is to watch their prey panic and feel hope shatter. That exact moment of absolute collapse, to him, it is pure spice. Grinning wildly, Jack kicks a nearby car with massive force. It flips, the vehicle lands upside down with a deafening screech. He looks down, tracking the fresh, red trail of blood on the floor. But check this out, the blood leads straight to a barely visible tripwire. It is gasoline-soaked, a glass Molotov hangs directly above it. Jack laughs. Did William really think he would fall for this? He is no blind mutt. He slowly raises his claw, sniffing. He sneers. The strongest scent of blood is actually coming from right above. With a sudden, explosive leap, Jack slices straight into the ceiling. The roof shatters, bringing down a massive storm of steel and wood. Debris scatters. Through the heavy dust, a blood-soaked jacket drops down. Jack grabs the clothing, staring down at it in complete confusion. But before he can even react, William suddenly strikes from the shadows. William lunges forward in one incredibly smooth motion, catching his enemy off guard. He throws a handful of white powder straight into Jack's eyes. Jack howls in pure agony, desperately clawing at his burning, blinded eyes. William steps closer, his voice sounding completely cold and measured. It is simple salt. Now Jack can neither smell nor see. He points out that Jack inherited the zombie wolf's strength, but also its weakness. A wolf's nose holds over 200 million scent cells. That incredible, hypersensitive nose is normally their greatest hunting advantage. But right now, it turns simple salt into pure, blinding torture. Most people drop their guard the second they think they have won, Jack. You call yourself a king, but you are just another blind dog choking on your arrogance. Jack roars, his eyes wild with rage, screaming that he will kill Jot Jua. Jot Jua raises his blade, calm as ever, telling him he will not get the chance. Blood energy surges through his arm, wrapping his sword in a crimson storm. Unleashing his skill, World Splitter, the blade comes down in a red flash. With a crash, Jack is slammed into the earth, sending shock waves through the ground. Thick smoke blankets the area, slowly clearing to reveal a massive, gaping crater. Jot Jua stands at the edge, staring down and muttering that the monster is still alive. These monsters really are hard to kill. Down in the pit, Lingy lies crushed. He is bloodied and gasping, but still snarling that a king never dies. Suddenly, his eyes widen in pure shock as he notices a strange liquid rising around him. It is a thick, oily liquid, reeking heavily of raw gasoline. Terror replaces his rage as Jot Jua's cold voice cuts through the tension. He calmly tells him that those little fire bombs were not enough. Staring down at the pit, Jot Jua calmly decides to see if an entire fuel tank can finish this. A blast like that should blow a monster like him straight to hell. His voice is flat, holding no anger or fear, only absolute finality. This gas station is his coffin. Meanwhile, back at the village, his father waits. Suddenly, a massive, ground-shaking explosion rips across the distant horizon. He looks up, confused, wondering what in the world is happening out there. A brilliant fireball rises, looking like a second sun over the ruins. He watches the fiery glow in silence, whispering that the sun has risen. Joing shouts out in excitement, making everyone spin around to look. The massive zombie horde that surrounded them all night is finally retreating. As the undead retreat, the exhausted defenders finally smile with relief. Meanwhile, Jot Jua stares at the morning sun, smiling faintly. He starts walking back home, but a weak voice suddenly calls out from behind. Slumped against a broken wall is a pale, barely conscious girl begging for help. She collapses as her strength fades, forcing Jot Jua to freeze and turn around. Back at the house, Joing stands with her arms crossed, glaring at him. She demands to know if he is a pervert for stripping a girl in public. Jot Jua sighs, only checking for bites. You cannot just bring strangers home simply because they look fine. Too many camps have been wiped out because of that exact mistake. He defensively adds that he was also shirtless, so it was technically fair. Joing rolls her eyes, firing back that his excuse makes him sound even creepier. She says it is a good thing she stopped him before anyone else saw. Before he can reply, the door creaks open and see how Luna steps out. She calmly reassures them that the girl is fine, just completely exhausted. She will wake up soon, but pauses to look at their strange expressions. Joing clears her throat, forcing a quick smile to cover up the awkwardness. Jot-Jua turns toward her, thanking her with a rare hint of warmth. Jot-Jua thanks her warmly, causing See How Luna to lower her gaze, quietly replying that she did not really do anything to help. He did all the heavy lifting. After a quick rest, Hang Tao, Uncle Nio, and Luna got ready to leave. They wanted to search the village for survivors while the sun was still up, doing their duty as village council members. Right before they left, Jojo called out to Luna, spotting the heavy guilt in her eyes. Do not blame yourself, Luna. No one can stop a pre-tied zombie. We cannot save everyone, but as long as we are alive, there is hope. Luna turned around, smiling softly. Thank you, from a car, Zhou Ming laughed. Not bad, little bro. You are finally learning to speak like a human being. Jojo watched them drive away, murmuring that this time the ending would be different. Zhou Ming raised an eyebrow. What are you talking about? He sighed, then turned the key to start the engine. Time to move. We still have to deal with these bodies. The brothers drove into the mountains to begin the final cleanup, standing before the burning corpses. Zhou Ming spoke quietly. These mutated monsters must be incinerated. If wild animals scavenge them, it could trigger another outbreak. Zhou Ming clapped the dust off his hands and grinned. Well, it looks like we can finally go home for some sleep. Jojo, take the car to the wash station. It absolutely reeked. Jojo scratched his head. Awkwardly, yeah, about that gas station. Then he frowned. Wait, why me? Zhou Ming slung an arm around his shoulder, smirking. Because I am your older brother. Got a problem with that? Jojo narrowed his eyes. You know the rules. Zhou Ming raised an eyebrow, challenging him. You really think you can beat me? Jojo scoffed. Please, I have never lost ghost tag. They set up the game quickly. Zhou Ming was the hunter. Jojo played the ghost. The rules were simple. The hunter counts to 10 while the runner escapes. If caught within 3 minutes, the hunter wins. Jojo just had to run. As his power flared and he bolted, Zhou Ming laughed behind him. Really trying that old trick? You remember I know it too, right? Before Zhou could even react, Zhou Ming was right behind him, lunging, but Zhou stopped instantly, twisted his body, and slipped to the side like a shadow. The two dashed through the forest, leaping over tangled tree roots, locked in an absolutely relentless game of tag. Suddenly, Jojo leapt high, aiming for a branch overhead. Zhou Ming blinked in surprise, then smirked, launching himself into the air. Nice try. Without warning, he charged straight at the tree just as Jojo reached out. The trunk collapsed with a loud crash. Startled, Jojo adjusted mid-fall and landed safely. Behind him, Zhou Ming was grinning ear to ear. Blade in hand, fresh from felling the tree. Did you expect to escape? Up there, no way. Jojo barely landed when he felt something massive rushing from behind. He spun around, finding Zhou Ming hurling the entire tree trunk at him. Jojo crossed his arms, bracing to block with full force. The brothers locked in place, pushing and resisting as energy crackled between them. Zhou Ming laughed, shouting a challenge to try running again. Little brother, Jojo did not answer the teasing. He was too busy holding back the massive crashing trunk, silently marveling at the raw strength. Realizing he could never block that brute force, he let the impact carry him back. A second later, the massive log slammed directly into the cliff with a massive crash, kicking up dust and splinters. Amidst the wreckage, Zhou Ming stood there awkwardly scratching his head. Did I go too hard? He yelled. No answer came back, just silence, as The haze cleared, the spot was completely empty. Then, a pebble tapped his head. Zhou Ya's voice floated down. Time is up, Ghost wins this round, Zhou Ming. Squinted up at the high cliff. When did you get up there, you sneaky? Brat. Zhou Ya jumped down lightly, grinning, leaning back to absorb the impact. He explained, taught him exactly how their special abilities work. Zhou Ming nodded, saying his came from a zombie core. Did Zhou Ya do the same? Zhou Ya shrugged, giving a casual reply. Something like that, he said, though in his mind he knew it actually happened in his past life. Aloud, he said his power is different. He can tap directly into other people's abilities. Zhou Ming blinked. You mean you can actually copy my skills? Not just some lucky coincidence. Zhou Ya nodded. Something like that. Your blood bastion power boosts physical strength, speed, and overall defense. Plus, that crimson aura around you blocks most physical attacks, and based on their little scuffle, he could replicate 70% of it. Zhou Ming raised an eyebrow. 70%, and he still lost. Damn it, but Zhou Ya added. He could also analyze abilities in massive detail. Zhou Ming blinked. Wait, are we talking game stats now? Do you have a personal screen or something? Not exactly, Zhou Ya replied, flexing his fingers. It is more of an instinct, letting him feel the numbers behind a person's strength. If a normal adult is 20, Zhou Ming's power and agility would be around 90 and endurance 95. But for intelligence, Zhou Ming interrupted, laughing. Don't tell me this makes me smarter, too. Zhou Ya smirked. More like 0. Honestly, watching him wrestle that tree stump was kind of painful. Zhou Ming wrapped an arm around his shoulder, growling playfully. Careful, kid, my 0 intelligence might still knock your teeth out. Then he suddenly remembered something. He had stashed that zombie bear core in Zhou Ya's drawer. It might be useful later, but as they talked, a hidden threat loomed. Their conversation was completely overheard by a shadow lurking behind the trees. Late at night, while Zhou Ya slept soundly, a dark figure crept into his room. Zhou Ming found the crystal core inside the drawer, eyes lit with excitement as he whispered that he finally had a superpower. The next morning, their mom, wanting to stock up on supplies, told Zhou Ya to plow. Under the burning sun, Zhou Ya was sweating bullets as he worked, grumbling. Inwardly, he complained that his big brother was chilling while he did all the heavy lifting. Mom's favoritism was real. Left helpless, Zhou Ya quietly activated his cheat skill, releasing his power to plow the field lightning fast. Nearby, Lian was hiding around the corner, wearing a crisp white shirt, nervously holding a cup of water. After a brief internal struggle, she took a deep breath and stepped out, forcing a bright smile on her face. She called out sweetly, greeting Zhou Ya and saying she had been searching. Zhou was busy scrubbing away. The zombie blood splattered all over the wall. Hearing quiet footsteps behind him, he glanced right over his shoulder. Recognizing her, he calmly asked Lian if she was feeling any better. Lian stood nearby, flashing a sweet smile as she said she felt better. She thanked Zhou for saving her, but he responded with pure indifference. He was only keeping a promise, so there was no need to thank him. Quite unbothered by his cold shoulder, Lian casually poured herself some water. She smiled, insisting it was still a major debt of gratitude. After a brief hesitation, she softly asked if he could help her more in the future. But despite her eager tone, Zhou gave her a flat, firm no. Lian looked completely stunned, her voice trembling as she asked why. Without even turning around, Zhou coolly reminded her of his true reasons. This favor repaid her father's past kindness to his family, so they were even. He had absolutely no responsibility or obligation to keep helping her. Hearing this, Lian lowered her head and whispered that she understood. Zhou stood in quiet silence before the freshly cleaned, spotless wall. Feeling a strange energy stir inside him, he quietly muttered to himself. This blood butcher power was still way too wild for farming. He definitely needed to train harder to gain far better control over it. Suddenly, a rapid knock rattled the door, and Zhou opened it quickly. Frowning, he asked what was wrong as the search team walked in. Bayer and the others sat quietly on the sofa, their heads low. Joe looked at them, his expression instantly darkening in the silence. Bea bit her lip, admitting that the entire village was gone. But before she could apologize, Joe firmly cut her off. It wasn't her fault, as a zombie tide cannot be stopped so easily. They risked everything just to look for survivors. After a heavy silence, Uncle Neo finally asked what they should do next. Joe replied calmly, telling them to simply wash up and get some rest. They would eat dinner together because, no matter what, they were still alive. After cleaning up, Bea walked out wearing some of Isabella's spare clothes. She tugged awkwardly at the fabric, muttering that they felt rather tight. Worried she looked strange, she heard Joe's mom call out. Dinner was ready and Bea hurried inside. At the table, Joe's family was chatting and laughing warmly. Seeing Bea approach, Joe's mom smiled warmly and told her to sit. She pointed her to the seat right next to Joe. Off to the side, Olivia watched them, and yeah, it was pretty awkward. An uncomfortable shadow crossed her face as everyone took their seats. Once everyone was seated, Joe's dad solemnly raised his glass to speak. Looking around, he acknowledged that everyone knew how dire things actually were. They were officially the only survivors left alive in Shan village. Communication was completely down, leaving them entirely in the dark. But despite the odds, they had actually survived the horrific corpse tide. Every single one of them raising their glasses to survival. They are family, promised to support each other and fight together, not just to survive, but to truly live. Cheers, but just as everyone raises their glasses to drink. Isabella's drink suddenly slips, crashing to the floor. Luca's immediately notices, asking anxiously what is wrong with her, but Isabella's eyes have already turned bloodshot, sweat pouring down her face as she lets out strange, guttural noises. William quickly activates his power, watching her closely. The clearly unstable girl, before he can even figure out what is wrong. Isabella suddenly lunges forward with a twisted, completely feral expression. She sinks her teeth deep into William's arm, yet William remains totally calm, without any panic. Nearby, William's father, mother, and the others all yell, anxiously trying to snap Isabella back to her senses. Then, a tense moment, the red haze in her eyes finally begins to fade. William asks her softly if she is back with them. Isabella blinks, letting out a confused sigh as she slowly looks around, meeting the uneasy stares from everyone there. Her face flushes a deep red, overwhelmed by embarrassment as the full weight of her social death moment hits her hard, rough right. Noticing her awkward expression, William sighs inwardly, then gives her a firm punch to the stomach without hesitation. Slinging her over his shoulder, he calls back to the others that he is taking her outside for fresh air, so they should keep eating. Don't worry, they see Isabella vomiting heavily over William's shoulder. Everyone nods, buying his story without any question. Outside, Isabella squats down, clutching her head in total embarrassment, mumbling that she has officially humiliated herself beyond repair. Standing right behind her, William scolds her harshly. Did she actually dare eat a crystal core? She got lucky this time, but does she think she will always be this lucky? Hearing his reprimand, Isabella quickly apologizes, her voice incredibly small. She is sorry. In reality, she just wanted powers too. William looks at her helplessly, thinking to himself, good thing he sensed her awakening energy early. Otherwise, she would have scared the hell out of him, letting out a long sigh. He reaches out to ruffle her hair and says gently that he will teach her how to control those powers. He tells her to close her eyes and imagine her ability like a stream of energy flowing through every part of her body. William guides her patiently. Her ability is now a part of her, an instinct as natural as breathing itself. Smiling slightly, he tells her to use this new power to sense the world and tell him what she sees. Closing her eyes, Isabella follows his instructions, slowly tuning into the quiet changes around. She whispers that she sees life. Opening her eyes, a soft glow flickers. Within them, she sees life flowing everywhere, feeling a sudden surge of realization, saying excitedly that it feels like she can control that flow. Carefully, she directs her life energy deep into the ground beneath her. Instantly, the potatoes buried in the soil sprout tender shoots. In mere moments, they grow into fully mature plants. Staring at the thriving crops, Isabella exclaims in absolute disbelief. Did she just make them grow faster? From the side, William chuckles and replies that it looks like she did, seeing him use the same power to speed up the potato growth. Isabella's eyes widen even. She points out he has the same power. William stays quiet, no answer. She grabs her head, absolute despair. She wails about her lost dreams. She wanted cosmic rays, summoning storms, maybe even becoming a magical girl. But she is stuck farming, completely unfair. William looks on helplessly. He mutters, asking what nonsense fills her head, but deep down, he wonders. William cannot shake that nagging thought. The odds are just too low. Awakening powers from a crystal core is rare, insanely rare. Yet both his brother and Enzi succeeded. It cannot be pure luck. There is a connection. Next morning, a loud rooster meets its fate. William snatches it by the neck. Annoyed, he grumbles at the noise. He asks Uncle Neo behind him where he even found a rooster this early. Uncle Neo chuckles, holding up a live hen in response. A hen, too, both are from his very own flock. He planned to breed them, then he explains their origin. Years back, the local poultry farm was short-handed. They paid him in birds. He kept raising them. Hearing this, William gets a sudden idea. The old poultry farm is actually quite close to their home. After a brief talk, they decide to go check it out. Maybe they can catch surviving chickens, or at least find eggs. On the way, Hang Tao looks nervously at some nearby corpses. He asks if there is any chance they might wake up. Peering closer, he notices something odd, deep, jagged wounds. They seem stabbed by sharp weapons. William tells him to chill. Zombies hate the daylight, just stay out of dark basements. Reassured, they step inside. They cautiously enter the factory. Hang Tao is still uneasy, whispering in the dark. He wonders what the world is like. Is it all gone? Uncle Neo responds immediately, his voice filled with stubborn hope. No way, humans have high-tech weapons. Rescue is coming. William speaks up quietly, cutting through their naive optimism. Do not get your hopes up, he warns, his gaze darkening. The real threat is the virus, not just the zombies. The resulting devastation is far worse than anyone ever imagined. They can only rely on themselves now. The truth hurts. Both men fall silent, their faces clouded with heavy dread. Moments later, Uncle Neo rummages through a cabinet and finds eggs. With proper heat and humidity, they can hatch them manually. Hang Tao scratches his head. Something is not quite right. He wonders why only eggs remain. Where are the birds? William and Uncle Neo exchange deeply worried and puzzled looks. If they died, there should be bones, then a honk. A loud, harsh sound. William instantly tenses up, spinning around. Standing right in the doorway is a massive white goose. It flaps its wings almost like a greeting. Hang Tao watches. He gets excited, shouting that they finally found a live one. William asks for a sack. After all, back at the poultry farm he was in. Expert at catching birds with a sack, snatching the bag from William, Huang Tao confidently steps toward the goose. With a few quick, practiced moves, he easily coaxes the bird into the bag, but right as he turns to boast about his clean catch, the docile goose suddenly mutates. Its beak widening into a gaping, bloodthirsty maw, it lunges right at Huang Tao's face with terrifying speed. In a split second, William triggers his powers and flashes to Huang Tao's side, landing a heavy hit. That blasts the mutant goose across the room. Huang Tao stands there frozen and completely bewildered, struggling to process what just happened. William yells to fall back. Something is very wrong. the group. Immediately bolts out of the factory, but the moment they step outside, William catches a strange noise. He quickly throws out an arm to stop Huangtao and Uncle Neo, warily scanning their surroundings. In seconds, dozens of mutant geese come charging at them from all directions. These mutated beasts are running way faster than before, almost unnaturally fast. Before they even realize it, the monsters are nearly on top of them. Right then, William spots a narrow alleyway. Without a second thought, he yells to head this way, leading Huangtao and Uncle Neo toward it. But the other two are just ordinary folks. It does not take long before their stamina completely gives out, and they slow down to a crawl. William quickly realizes the situation. As well, Huangtao and Uncle Neo are running out of steam. Looking back, he looks back at the relentless flock. Honestly, things are looking pretty grim. William decides to trigger a different ability, growth, a power he copied from Isabella. Focusing his will, he channels the flowing life force inside his body. Instantly, thick vines erupt and spread wildly across the narrow alley, creating a living wall that stops the chasing mutant geese instantly. William turns around, just about to urge Huangtao and Uncle Neo to keep running when he spots an even bigger horde blocking the alley. Ahead, trapped on both sides, William makes a quick decision and leads them into a nearby abandoned dormitory. Once they are safe inside, Huangtao and Uncle Neo collapse against the walls, gasping heavily with pale, sweaty faces. Uncle Neo looks down at the courtyard below, now crawling with mutant geese, saying heavily that they are trapped, but William might still have a chance. As for him and Huangtao, they are probably done for. Hearing this, William's face hardens. He blames his own mistake for getting them into this mess, swearing to get everyone out alive no matter what. Deep down, he is desperately searching for any escape. If he pushes his blood butcher ability to the absolute limit and carries two grown men, could he outrun the mutant geese? But if his strength gives out halfway, they are finished. Just as William prepares himself for a desperate charge, Huangtao suddenly shouts to wait, pointing out a computer that somehow still has power. William looks over, completely confused. Huangtao, hands flying over the keyboard, announces urgently that the local network is still active and he might have a solution. Right then, heavy, violent thuds shake the door as William, bracing the door, he yells for Wang Tao to hurry. The door won't hold. Wang Tao just types faster, screaming back. He begs for 5 minutes, no 3, teeth clenched hard. 3 minutes. Hearing the frantic countdown, William makes his move. He knows that flimsy door cannot last 3 full minutes. Survival means action. He must take the fight directly to them. Unleashing his blood butcher power, he slams a fist forward. A deafening crash, the heavy iron door flies forward like a ram. It instantly crushes the oncoming mutant geese into unrecognizable pulp. William steps out. He still holds the broken metal doorknob. Another wave of screeching, mutated geese charges him with fury. Eyes narrowing, William lifts the heavy iron door as a shield. Absorbing their brutal assault, he channels energy into his fist. One explosive punch, he strikes the door with full force. A massive shockwave blasts down the hall, shredding the monsters. Silence falls. In the hallway, William finally lets out a breath. He hopes this buys time, but get ready, things are about to get worse. A horrifying sight, the shredded flesh begins to move again. The bloody pieces writhe, fusing as Uncle Neo yells inside. He demands to know if Wang Tao and Zyro Huang are finished. William is fighting like hell. They must move much faster. Wang Tao yells back, praying that William can hold out longer. The final download must finish as William faces the outside. Outside, William stares wide-eyed at the grotesque abomination rising up. It is a massive, hulking monster made of goose flesh. The blood-soaked beast opens its gaping mouth, roaring like mad. With spine-chilling force, the creature slams into the iron door. William barely holds on, feeling the bone-shattering impact through metal. His heart sinks, the blood butcher shield is breaking fast. It cannot hold, the next second he is violently thrown. He crashes hard onto the ground, coughing up warm blood. His strength drains away completely, leaving him struggling to move. Looking up, he suddenly finds Uncle Neo, standing protectively before him. The old man grips a stick, facing the beast alone. With grim determination, Uncle Neo tells William and Zio Huang to run. He promises to hold it off as William wipes his mouth. William tries to protest, but Uncle Neo turns and yells. No time to hesitate. If they waste a second, they die. Before Uncle Neo can finish, William forces himself back onto his feet. He pulls the old man behind him with quiet resolve. He will get everyone home, leaving absolutely no one behind. As he speaks, his eyes ignite with dual-colored light. Crimson blood butcher power in one eye, emerald in the other. Facing the charging monster once more, he merges both forces. He prepares to unleash absolute life and destruction combined. With these powers swirling inside him, William knew it for a fact. This time he would win. In a flash, he throws himself right at that flesh monster, merging his twin abilities together for a direct clash. The resulting burst of raw power is unlike anything he has ever felt. With one massive, devastating blow, he shatters the grotesque beast into pieces. As the monster crumbles, the combined forces raging inside William's body slowly start to fade away, replaced by a sudden wave of heavy exhaustion. His limbs feel like lead. He cannot even lift a single finger. But of course there is no rest here. A loud, sharp honking suddenly echoes. Down the dark hallway, William watches in absolute horror as a new swarm of mutant geese stampedes straight toward them. Desperate, William struggles to force his paralyzed muscles to move so he can fight, right as absolute disaster strikes. Loud music suddenly starts blasting from the speakers outside. The mutant geese, already leaping at William, freeze instantly in their tracks. Confused by the noise, they suddenly turn around and bolt out of the facility. Right then, Huang Tao runs out of the room, yelling to ask if they are okay, while Uncle Neo stands there totally baffled. He asks how the birds just left and what that weird broadcast was. With a relieved smile, Huang Tao explains that his desperate plan actually worked. He hacked the speaker system to play that specific feeding song. Apparently, back when the farm was running, they played it whenever it was feeding time, training the birds to run straight to the food. He is just glad it worked, otherwise they would have been total toast. He vows never to return here again before they pack up to leave. The group piles into the car and begins the drive back home. In the back, Uncle Neo cradles a basket of eggs, letting out a sigh. From the front seat, Huang Tao laughs and asks his uncle exactly when he managed to grab all of those eggs. Uncle Neo smiles, explaining that he pocketed a few while they were busy chasing that goose. But Huang Tao is still worried, asking if they are absolutely sure. Those eggs will not hatch into monsters, Uncle Neo tells him. Not to worry since they are over 1 week old before the virus hit. They are safe. Meanwhile, sitting quietly in the back, William just stares at his own hands, still thinking about that insane power he just felt. Back home, the survivors gather to assign everyone their new official roles. William's father, Lucas, and Huang Tao will handle security and defense, setting up patrols and building strong walls around their base. Isabella and Uncle Neo will manage the crops and livestock, utilizing her unique powers to massively boost food growth. William's mother and Olivia are taking charge of resource management, organizing inventory and daily distribution. Finally, William and Bea make up the exploration squad, responsible for scouting and finding supplies outside. With plans set, William heads to his room to prepare. He is determined to be ready for whatever waits out there. He is determined not to repeat the deadly mistakes from the poultry farm. As William packs his survival gear, a soft voice calls out before he turns. Around, Olivia reaches out and grabs his shirt. She presses her head. Against his back, she whispers a trembling plea, "Take me." With you, William spins around, looking totally baffled. Her eyes are filled with terror. She stammers that she is scared. Scared. He asks, no, she cries. She just wants to stay close. Her voice drops. She knows a safe place nearby, packed with supplies. If only the two of them go, they can survive. They can wait until rescue arrives. Her words turn frantic, begging him. She will do absolutely anything. He just has to forget the others. But she looks up and freezes. William stares down with a completely cold, dead look, speechless. Without saying a single word, he grabs his bag and heads straight for the exit. Passing her, his voice cuts deep. You want me to abandon my family? Say that again, and I will personally throw you out to fend for your miserable life. Do not forget, he pauses, voice freezing, you betrayed me first. Hearing his brutal words, Olivia just stands there, completely frozen, stunned and totally lost. As William steps out of the room, he spots Bea waiting quietly in the corridor. Before he can speak, she asks softly if they are leaving. Together, they head toward a hidden fish farm far off the main highway. Bea looks around the ruined, empty space with a frown. This area is incredibly remote. No travelers would ever come here. Who built this? William replies casually. Jack did. He found it by accident. Hearing that name, Bea hesitates for a moment. She has always wondered why Jack hates him so much. William chuckles softly, saying it all goes back to school days. Jack loved throwing his family money around, acting like he was superior to everyone. Everyone backed down except him. William challenged him at everything and won every single time. He stops, then adds that once he got close to Olivia, Jack forced his way in to steal her, never missing a chance to rub it in. Bea frowns and murmurs that Jack did not even like Olivia. He just humiliated her publicly. William shrugs off the comment. Jack did not care about her. He only wanted to hurt him. Olivia made her own choice. She is not his concern anymore. Bea hesitates before asking about their old engagement. Was there really a promise between them? William sighs. That was just arranged by the adults. A strange feeling stirs inside Bea. She looks out over the nearby lake. The water is eerily still. Real talk, this quietness feels incredibly wrong. A sense of dread creeps in. Soon, they discover a hidden underground facility. Standing before a massive walk-in freezer, Bea gasps in awe at the huge storage, but asks if the door is a bit overkill. She wonders how he even knew about this. William replies casually. He heard about it from Jack, so they might give them a chance. Meanwhile, deep down, William was thinking, in his past life he stumbled upon this spot after the corpse tide hit, surviving for a long time on the supplies hidden here. Back then, the power was already out, but now the electricity was still running. William's eyes narrowed slightly. Quiet thought flickering through his mind, maybe because he stopped that first wave of the corpse tide, the future was starting to change, or perhaps there were still other survivors hiding here. Suddenly, a sharp scream echoed from deep inside the ice storage. Hearing Bea gasp in terror, William shouted, asking what happened. Bea had collapsed onto the floor, trying to steady her voice, calling back that she was fine, just a little spooked. Pointing ahead with a trembling hand, she muttered that the fish head was way too creepy, like some weird deep-sea creature. Then, without warning, the fish head shifted slightly, glowing with a sinister crimson light. Before Bea could even react, William rushed up behind her, slamming his palm down hard onto the grotesque fish head. William's pupils contracted sharply as he realized it was a mutant fish-type zombie. To his shock, the creature's head was completely unharmed. Talk about a massive reality check. Slowly, it opened its massive jaws and unleashed a powerful jet of water, slamming William against the ice-cold wall before he could even react. Gritting his teeth against the pain, he assessed the heavy impact and quickly Realized this thing had the strength of a second-tier zombie, seeing William. Hurt, Bea immediately rushed forward, shielding him with her body, her voice. Trembling, asking if he was okay, forcing himself upright, William shouted urgently for her to run since they could not fight it head-on, but the words left his mouth. He noticed the massive freezer door was sealing shut. William's heart sank, as if things could get any worse, but first, they had to find a way to defeat the mutant fish monster. Without a second thought, William tightened his grip on the long blade and charged straight at the mutant fish monster. He swung down with full force, slashing at its armored body, but the creature's thick armor-like scales were impossibly tough. His blade barely left a scratch. Reacting swiftly, William pulled back, putting distance between them. Regaining his stance, he channeled his power once more, his energy surging. With renewed determination, William launched another assault, this time searching carefully for a weak spot between the armored scales. It was the only chance to kill it. Then he spotted it. The fish monster's gills were unprotected, free of scales. Adjusting his movement mid-sprint, William circled behind the creature, thrusting his long blade straight toward the vulnerable gill area. But just as the blade was about to strike, countless slimy tendrils suddenly erupted from the gills, wrapping tightly around the weapon and trapping it in an instant. The sudden eruption of tendrils left William momentarily stunned. These grotesque appendages were not part of the fish monster itself. They were parasitic mutant worms hiding inside the creature, springing forth only to defend their host in times of danger. Taking advantage of William's hesitation, the fish monster lashed out with its tail, smashing him hard into the scattered. He lay dazed among the debris, gasping desperately for breath. William slumped down in the ruins. The massive fish monster loomed closer, its giant jaws parting as a high-pressure jet of water gathered in its throat, ready to crush him completely. In a frantic move, William grabbed a loose, live power cable and shoved it directly into the beast's mouth. A wild surge of electricity tore through the beast, stunning it instantly. Dragging himself up without a second's delay, William delivered one final strike, killing the mutated fish monster for good. Yet, even with that nightmare dead, William's chest felt incredibly heavy. He knew this new world was veering way off course from his previous life after his rebirth. But those past changes had felt accidental, random. Having a second-tier mutant fish hidden on purpose in this ice vault was no accident. A puppet master was clearly pulling the strings. Right then, Bea's panicked voice broke the silence, asking if he was okay. He turned, calmly telling her he was fine, but they had to move. They had to get out fast, but no matter how Bea rattled the giant handle, the heavy freezer door stayed completely locked and unyielding. Confused, she cried out that it wouldn't open. William's face fell as he muttered grimly, "Someone locked it from the outside." Acting fast, he called upon his twin powers, blending the ruinous force of Blood Butcher with his absolute life vitality. Channeling that raw energy into his right fist, he smashed the door hard. A massive crash shook the entire chamber, but when the dust cleared, the door was totally fine, not a single scratch on it. William's jaw dropped. He definitely didn't expect a simple freezer to be this thick. The thing was built like a vault. To make things worse, since they were underground, this was their only exit. And now it was a dead end. William panted heavily, gritting his teeth in frustration. That blast was his absolute strongest attack. He stared at the metal wall, whispering that it still wasn't enough. He needed to recover. Bea stepped up, telling him to rest while she scanned the ice storage again, hoping to spot another escape. She came back soon after, head slumped in deep defeat, and sat right next to him, whispering that there was absolutely no way out. He wasn't shocked, but he knew the freezing temperature here was -18 degrees Celsius at best. Even if they survived that, they would run out of air and suffocate very soon. There was no time to waste. Forcing himself to stand, He prepared to channel his combined strength for one more desperate shot. Suddenly, Bea reached into her pocket and pulled out a zombie core. She wondered aloud if eating it would awaken her own special abilities. William stared at the core in pure shock, grabbing her hand instantly. He demanded to know if she had any idea how incredibly risky this actually was, but Bea cut him off before he could argue. Her voice was quiet but resolute. He couldn't keep carrying this alone. This resource is running thin and time is slipping away, staring straight at William. Bea speaks softly but with absolute unwavering resolve. You know it too, William. If we keep pushing forward like this, we both die. Let's take one last desperate gamble. Bet on my survival. Bet that my newly awakened power will get us out of here. Her words strike deep. William's heart falters. He can't help but remember her past life perception. But now, with every timeline change his rebirth triggered, will her power still manifest the same way? After a long, heavy silence, William finally releases her hand and forces a faint smile. He asks her softly if she is ready. He knows the truth, just as Bea said. His own strength alone won't cut it, and this girl has already shown so much courage. Why should he hesitate now? Bea looks down at the glowing crystal core resting quietly in her palm and whispers that in the past she would have been terrified, but with him beside her now, she truly believes she can do this. Without further hesitation, Bea swallows the toxic crystal core. Meanwhile, deep within the dark forest, William's father and Lucas search frantically, shouting out for William and Bea. William left no clues, so they are searching completely blindly. Talk about a recipe for disaster. As night approaches, a thick, suffocating darkness begins to slowly swallow up the entire forest, and the sheer dread on the father and Lucas's faces grows even worse. Just then a roar, a deafening, monstrous echo shakes the trees. William's father pales, gasping. Zombies, aren't they only supposed to hunt at night? William Ming stands beside him, frowning grimly. That things are wrong, seriously wrong. Another chilling scream rings out from the distant shadows. William Ming's heart completely skips a beat as his face instantly goes dark. Damn it, that is Hangta's voice. Meanwhile, lurking behind a massive trunk nearby, shadowy figure silently observes their every single move from the darkness. Back inside the freezing ice vault, a sudden groan jolts William awake. He spins around to see Bea, her body steaming with fever. Her face is twisted in pure agony. William rushes over and asks what is going on and why she is burning up. Bea, trembling violently, claws at her clothes, gasping hoarsely. Does not know her whole body feels on fire. It hurts, it is so hot. Instantly, William grabs handfuls of ice from the floor and presses them against her skin. He fights desperately to cool her burning body down. Minutes pass. Bea is left in only her light undergarments, and the violent heat radiating from her body finally begins to subside. William leans in close, asking gently if she is okay. Bea nods weakly, but then her tone completely shifts as she speaks. William, I think I am seeing zombies, massive hordes of them, absolutely everywhere. William can only manage a pretty helpless smile, reassuring her not to panic, because her new power is finally awake. But deep down, the grim reality sinks in. Bea still awakened the exact same sensory power. A brute force escape is almost impossible. Then Bea hesitates, whispering that she sees something under the floor. Pointing down with a trembling hand, she warns him that they are surrounded of zombies. His chest tightens. Under the floor, could it be an old underground passage? After a desperate, frantic search, they discovered a hidden hatch tucked away in a corner of the freezer. Together, they climbed down the ladder into the freezing, pitch-black passage directly beneath the ice storage. But as they ventured deeper inside, a feral zombie roar echoed from the darkness ahead. William turned to Bea with a heavy frown. It was just too dark. He couldn't see a thing and had to rely on her. Bea pointed at herself, her face full of disbelief. Relying on me? William gripped his long blade tightly, took a ready stance, and turned to her with a warm, reassuring smile. "Don't worry," he said, "you've got this," seeing that absolute trust in his eyes. Bea swallowed her fear and nodded. She quickly activated her newly awakened ability, extending her senses into the darkness to pinpoint the surrounding. Undead calling out their exact positions one by one to guide William through the dark. Thanks to her real-time guidance, even though William was practically blind, he struck precisely, taking down the oncoming monsters without missing a single beat of the fight. With their seamless teamwork, it didn't take long to clear the dark passage of threats. Before long, they finally reached the end of the tunnel. They found themselves inside a cramped storage room cluttered with trash. Scanning the dusty area carefully, William and Bea desperately searched for any possible way out, but unfortunately, they found absolutely no open passage leading to the outside world. Just as they were running out of options, William spotted something. Pointing to the side, he whispered that there was a waterway over there. It should lead directly to the main fish pond. Without any hesitation, they plunged into the water, following the submerged passage toward the pond. For a brief moment, Bea actually believed they were safe, but then everything went sideways. A massive, mutated fish monster lunged out of the gloom before she could even react. The creature clamped its enormous jaws around her. In the very next heartbeat, the beast began dragging her deeper into the murky depths. William immediately lunged forward, grabbing hold of Bea's hand, trying desperately to pull her free, but that monstrous bite force had locked her completely in place. They were caught in a brutal tug of war. Feeling the terrifying pull, Bea realized if this continued, she would inevitably only drag William down into the dark with her. With a strained, bittersweet smile, she looked up at him, and under his stunned, anguished gaze, Bea wrenched her hand completely free, letting herself sink into the cold, dark depths of the pond. William watched helplessly as she was dragged down. It was happening again. His mind flashed to his previous life, to the moment he had abandoned her, leaving her to face death alone, but absolutely not this time. In this life, he swore he would never let that happen again. Without hesitation, William launched himself forward, swimming with all his might toward the monster. At the same time, he activated his growth ability. Instantly, thick vines erupted from below, rapidly wrapping around the beast. Within moments, the giant fish was tightly bound, immobilized by the writhing vines. From inside the beast's jaws, Bea weakly opened her eyes. Through the murky water, she caught a glimpse of William swimming desperately toward her. She tried to desperately call out to him, but before she could, darkness swallowed her once more. When she finally awoke, the world spun. She bolts upright, crying out in pure panic as William turns. He turns back with a soft, warm smile. "You are awake." He casually hands her a can of food. "Heated it up for you. Eat up to get your strength back, because lake fish are definitely off the menu." Bea accepts the food quietly, whispering a soft thank you. Then she hesitates before asking what happened to that giant fish. She only remembers him swimming toward her before everything went totally dark. He answers calmly, "It is still down at the bottom. Probably feeding the other fish by now," he adds with a shrug. Sure, it was big, but nothing compared to those frozen warehouse monsters. But then his tone turns dark as he continues. "The infected water is spreading everywhere now. It is global. There is absolutely no stopping this anymore, not for anyone." A heavy silence falls, then Bea softly calls his name. Her voice carries a painful weight as she brings up their school days. He was always so quiet back then, difficult to even approach. Yet during this apocalypse, he has repeatedly risked his life for her. She wants to know why. William looks down, avoiding her eyes. He quietly admits he only saved her to use her awakened radar. He needed her to protect his family. Hearing this, her heart sinks. She forces a small, fragile smile, but her disappointment is completely obvious. "I see," she whispers, and a heavy, awkward silence settles in. Her cheeks flush a deep pink, so she asks, "What about now?" William looks up, locks eyes with her, and completely freezes in panic. He looks away instantly, fumbling for any words that just won't come. Bea shyly turns her head, murmuring a question about heading back. He clears his throat, quickly regaining his cool. Right now, he answers. With her sensory perception guiding them, avoiding the monsters is easy. They slip past every single threat, navigating the danger like ghosts. Soon they make it back. Ying runs out and hugs him tight. She throws her arms around William, her entire body shaking with relief. "You are finally back," she cries. "I was so incredibly worried." He gently pats her back, a warm smile touching his lips. He tells her the danger is over, asking if everyone is safe. Ying's smile vanishes instantly. Her voice drops to a grave whisper. "You both need to come inside right now," she tells them. The moment William steps inside, he hears Huangtao screaming in pure agony. His father and brother stand nearby, their faces completely dark with worry. William's heart drops. Huangtao is bound tightly to the couch. His expression goes completely cold. "What happened?" he demands. Lucas, his older brother, steps forward with a totally defeated look. "While searching for you and Bea, we were completely ambushed by monsters." Lucas smiles bitterly, explaining they tried to hunt a Tier 2 beast. They needed the core to save him, but the mission failed. His father looks up with hollow, desperate eyes. "William, can Xiaorong still be saved?" he asks in a trembling voice as William looks. Back toward Huangtao, the poor guy's eyes are bloodshot, his face twisted with bulging black veins, a terrifying sign that the virus has already reached his brain. Shoving a crystal core into him now would not work. He would just turn into a mindless monster like Jack. William struggles to find the right words to say. But Huangtao, catching a fleeting moment of clarity, speaks through his gritted teeth, begging them not to hesitate and to make it quick. William lowers his head, his hand shaking violently on the hilt of his sword. He is torn apart by intense agony and doubt, but as he clenches his jaw, he suddenly senses a dark presence behind him. Instantly, he triggers his unique power and whips around to confront the hidden threat. He turns sharply. His mother is shaking violently, her eyes overflowing with terror and pain. Without a second thought, he grabs her arm, pulls her close, and yanks a glowing crystal core out of his pocket. His voice is incredibly urgent as he commands her to swallow it immediately. Confused, she asks if this is the exact same thing Huangtao swallowed. William has zero time for long explanations. He claims he found it earlier at the fish farm and begs her to just trust him and eat. But before she can speak, a guttural, terrifying roar from Huangtao echoes. Lucas screams that William needs to hurry because Huangtao is turning. William freezes, cursing under his breath. He knows they are completely out of time. Waiting for his mother to slowly awaken her powers will seal everyone's doom. He has to choose right now. Spurred by survival instincts, William leaps forward and raises his heavy blade to deliver a merciful, killing strike. But right before the blade connects, a massive wave of energy explodes from behind him. Shocked, William spins around to see the source. There she is, his mother, floating gracefully right in midair. Her body is transformed, radiating a blinding, holy aura that fills the dark room. With a gentle wave of her hand, a pillar of pure light strikes. Huangtao, miraculously, the vicious virus destroying his body, starts to melt away completely. His terrifying, blood-red eyes fade back to normal. Moments later, Huangtao stares down at his fully restored body in shock and screams with pure joy that he is actually cured. Yet, absolutely no one is looking at him, honestly. Who could blame them with what happens next? Everyone is staring at William's mother, completely speechless at this insane miracle. Not only has she awakened an incredibly powerful skill, but she looks completely rejuvenated, now radiating an incredible, youthful vitality. Seeing her master this legendary purification power, William lets out a massive Sigh of relief, he then explains the details of her rare gift to the group, showing how her holy light cleanses the infected. But there's a catch if someone has already fully turned. This holy light acts as an incredibly deadly, destructive weapon instead of a cure. When asked how he predicted this specific awakening, William shrugs and says he just sensed it. Honestly, he has no idea why his intuition is so sharp lately. He only knows it feels exactly like the strange sensation he experienced before. With his older brother and Enzi awakening, his sensing ability was growing. It seemed to get stronger over time, but there were strict limits to it. He could not sense Bea's ability, let alone borrow it. William had to guess. His sensing and copying skills were probably restricted just to his blood relatives. The more family members who awakened their powers, the stronger he would get. Once everyone finally headed off to rest, William turned quietly to Bea. His voice was low and serious. Let us begin. Luna, can you scan the area? To see how many zombies are nearby, Bea nodded softly, unleashing her full power. As her sensing range expanded wider and wider, it did not take long at all. She mapped out every single zombie around them, then whispered to William. There are about 100 near the minefield woods, and another 100. In the back hills, hearing that, William immediately asked about any second. Tier zombies, Bea nodded slightly, replying that there were 3 of them. William's mind started racing, one for Dad, one for Hang Tao, and one for Uncle. Know if they could each hunt down and absorb a crystal core, the family's overall combat strength would surge, just as William was. Planning how to approach the hunt, Bea suddenly gasped, her expression turning tense. Zombies, they are moving, and almost all at once she focused harder, her voice turning urgent. They are all converging on one spot. Extending her sensing ability even further, Bea soon spotted something chilling. Right in the middle of the horde stood a lone human figure. When Bea finally got a clear look at his face, she froze in utter disbelief. It is Jack. All the zombies are moving, heading right toward him. Honestly, the shock on William's face says it all. He had seen Jack die, burned to ashes right before his eyes. Was it really the same Jack that Bea was seeing now? Gritting his teeth, William muttered in anger, so it was indeed Jack who locked them in the ice storage. His mind raced, connecting the dots. The ambush in the forest must have been his doing too. Bea asked anxiously what they should do. Should they warn everyone and set up defenses again like last time? William fell silent for a moment, then spoke with a heavy, resolute voice. At this rate, Jack will need about a day to gather enough zombies for a full assault. A sharp glint flashed in his eyes. Instead of waiting for them to come to them, they would strike first, catching him completely off guard. Deep in the forest behind the hills, William stood tall, surveying the surroundings. He called out coldly, his voice cutting through the dense trees, shouting for Jack to come out and face him. On a massive boulder not far away, a figure crouched low before slowly rising up. It was none other than Jack, the man who was supposed to be dead. Ling Jai sneered, staring coldly at William. He had not expected him to walk right into his own death like this. William's face remained expressionless. Is that so? He replied flatly, but playing dead was his own trick last time. Jack's face darkened immediately, absolute rage flashing in his eyes. Roaring at him to shut up, he lunged forward, sharp claws gleaming. As he struck toward William, his gaze sharpened, body tilting deftly. William dodges to the side, and with a swift motion, his blade slashes across Jack's chest. As blood splatters, William catches sight of the lingering burn scars still marring Jack's skin. Instant clarity, everything suddenly clicks into place. A cold smirk tugs at William's lips. He sneers, so he was right all along. Your wounds never fully healed, which makes total sense now. You played dirty back at the ice storage. Instead of fighting him head-on, calling Linji a total coward, he watches Jack's face twist with rage. Jack growls back, do not get cocky. You think you can take me on alone, but before he can finish, a deafening Explosion tears through the forest behind him. Jack instantly freezes his body, stiffening as a cold wave of dread floods his heart. Meanwhile, William sneers mockingly. Let me guess, you were about to boast about your reinforcements, right? Too bad for you, because I knew from the start, my people intercepted them halfway. Jack, game over, you are dead for sure. Elsewhere, right at the blast site, William's father stands high up. Atop a towering tree branch, he gazes down at the corpse-ridden battlefield. He laughs wildly. Did not expect this, did you? I have been waiting here all along. Now burn and turn to ashes. Meanwhile, on the ground below, William's mother watches expressionlessly toward the distance. From the tree line, another wave of zombies surges forward. Without hesitation, she unleashes her full purification power, the holy energy, the natural nemesis of zombie viruses, ignites a ghostly blue fire across the undead, reducing them to ashes within moments of contact. Watching the swarm get effortlessly wiped out, William's mother feels the surging strength of her ability and chuckles lightly. Not bad at all, this power makes cleanup easy. Hearing this, William's father immediately hugs her tightly, his face glowing with pride as he laughs, calling her amazing. But William's mother pushes him away with a look of pure disdain, choosing instead to contact Bea through her earpiece. After reporting point is clear, she asks for their next target. Thanks to her sensing ability, Bea already mapped out all nearby zombie locations. Hearing that one cluster is gone, she quickly responds that about 1 kilometer northwest, there is another group of 24 zombies. Receiving the coordinates, William's mother pauses, her tone softening. Luna, how is your side? Is everything safe? Bea's voice reassures her. Do not worry, we are hiding near the cellar entrance. Guards are stationed nearby too. Then she turns to Lucas, operating solo, and asks if her brother is fine. Lucas, already fully adept with his newly awakened ability, answers cheerfully, relax, these zombies are not even enough to warm up. Hearing Lucas's confident response through the earpiece, William's father bursts into hearty laughter. Grinning, he mocks the foolish zombies. They never saw this coming. Getting ambushed serves them completely right. Lucas chuckles too, adding that none of this would go smoothly without Bea. Her incredible intelligence and coordination are key. She is officially their team's commander now. Hearing their praise, Bea blushes slightly, murmuring that it is actually thanks to all of them. Only a fraction. Jack was still struggling with severe injuries. Completely overwhelmed by William, he could barely defend his own life. Jack stared in total disbelief, his eyes wide and desperate. How did the gap grow so vast? His eyes bulged with rage. He roared that he would not lose, but William just sneered. Your flanks are crushed and your main force is suffocating, Jack. Do you really think there is a way out of this? William gathered energy in his palms, his cold voice steady as he declared it was over. Jack lowered his head in silence. Then he grit his teeth, snarling that it was far from over. Back at the base, Bea gasped. Her face went pale. She screamed into the radio for William to watch out. 3 second-tier zombies were heading right for him. He turned around and saw 3 giant, mutated rat monsters charging straight at him. Distracted for a second, his face darkened. He glared at Jack. Rat zombies, is that really your secret weapon to beat me? Jack chuckled. Who said they were here to fight? Watch closely. With a swift move, Jack plunged his hand into a rat's skull, ripping out the core and swallowing it whole, then 2 more. Instantly, an explosion of raw power blasted from Jack's body. He slowly looked up, a twisted, sinister grin on his face. This is my true power, he smiled. William stared in shock. He was looking at a fully evolved 3rd-tier mutant, pure danger. William did not hesitate. Pushing his limits, he lunged forward. Like lightning, blade ready, aiming straight for Jack, Jack did not flinch. He casually raised his hand and blocked the strike effortlessly. Then, with a brutal palm strike, he sent William flying backward. William crashed hard, Jack stood over him, chuckling with absolute mockery. "Is that all you have, William?" Jack finished speaking, and William quickly recovered, channeling every ounce of strength into a punch. That hit Jack square in the chest, yet it completely failed to leave a scratch. Jack chuckled coldly, asking if this was really the absolute limit of his power. He dared William to try something like this. With that, Jack grabbed William's head and brutally slammed him down. The ground shattered, dust exploding everywhere, but when it cleared, William was gone. Only a gaping, deep crater remained in his place, with a lingering trace of glowing green energy around the edges. Seeing this, Jack blinked in mild surprise. So he has another trick. He escaped underground. After a brief pause, Jack's face twisted into savage fury. He roared that it did not matter. He promised to drag him out and break him piece by piece. Then he would slaughter his entire family. Meanwhile, not far away, deep in the forest, William dragged himself from a hollow tree. Bruised, battered, and gasping for breath, his energy completely spent. He had pushed past his limits. Jack's new power was absolutely terrifying. Feeling the massive power unleashed moments ago, a cold chill ran down William's spine. He finally realized the sheer, overwhelming power of a third-tier mutant. In his past life, he never even had the chance to face such a monster. The pressure was absolutely crushing, forcing him to grit his teeth. Calculating the odds, he knew even joining forces with his brother and mother would fail. They still might not have enough power to defeat Jack. His gaze hardened. He had to find a way to end Jack before he completely lost control. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Suddenly, a heavy force struck. An overwhelming pressure crashed down, instantly stealing his breath away. Gasping for air, William instinctively looked up toward the sky. The once pure white moon had turned into a blood-red orb, staining the night. Beneath that ominous, glowing blood moon, a brilliant blue wave rose from the horizon. And then, without warning, a searing crimson beam erupted into the blue wave. They clashed violently, sending massive shock waves rippling through the cold air. The sheer force of the impact rattled his very soul as a deafening explosion echoed. A rainbow-colored shock wave expanded outward at a terrifying speed. Watching the chaotic blast, William's eyes narrowed in sharp focus. Deep within the spreading light, he spotted two shadowy figures standing there. What on earth is happening? But before he can even figure it out, Jack's mocking laughter echoed from behind. "You're still getting distracted, William. You're underestimating me way too much," he sneers as William tries to turn. But Jack's mutated tail lashes out first, smashing heavily into his side. The blow sends him hurtling through the air, crashing hard against a massive boulder. The impact shakes the ground, leaving him battered and bruised. With his energy completely drained, William can't even find the strength to stand. Jack slowly strolls over, pressing a mocking finger against his forehead. "What's wrong? Can't run anymore," Jack mocks. "Where is your fancy ability now? If you are completely out of options, then you can just die for me." But right when things look hopeless, that massive halo of light suddenly washes over them. The instant the light envelops them, both of their bodies completely freeze. An unseen, absolute force locks them both in place, paralyzing them entirely. No matter how hard William struggles, his body refuses to move. It feels as if the entire world around him has been locked in time. But he quickly realizes that even though he is frozen, his abilities still work. Without a single second of hesitation, William gathers all his remaining energy. Concentrating it into his forehead, a sharp beam of pure power shoots out. The laser pierces straight through Jack's skull just as the blinding light fades. Jack, now able to move again, clutches his face in absolute agony, screaming. Staggering away in pure terror, he flees desperately into the dark forest. Watching Jack's retreating figure, William's final reserve of strength vanishes. His body gives out completely, and he collapses heavily onto the cold ground. Shortly after, guided by Bea's precise directions, Lucas finally arrives at the scene. Seeing William battered and motionless, he rushes over in a panic. He screams out, asking if he's okay, but William can only weakly whisper. "Forget about me." Jack ran toward the woods. "You have to chase him." William knew deep down that this madness had to end right here. This world was shifting, turning weirder and more dangerous by the minute, and those two figures appearing right beneath that blood moon were high-tier ability users, monsters who should not even exist yet, in his past life after the zombie outbreak began. William survived as the very last human in Chinxian village. Then a scavenger squad found him, led by Ivers. He stared down at William like he was a pathetic bug, asking in a cold, casual tone how many zombies were actually left in Chinxian village. William barely raised his heavy eyes, replying in a quiet, tired voice that there were a lot. Nearly 1,000, super dangerous, but the scavengers just laughed in his face. Mocking his fear, only 1,000, they called him a useless, trembling coward. Then Ivers demanded to know about the strongest zombie, its tier and power. William paused, bowing his head before muttering that there was only one 4th-tier zombie. Hearing this, the leader grinned with greedy excitement. A 4th-tier target was perfect. He gestured lazily toward a nearby clearing, ordering him to go put on a collar and heavy shackles. William looked over and saw dozens of people chained to a rotting tree, their faces completely hollowed out by absolute shame and despair. Talk about a grim sight. They were forced into slavery. Rage exploded in William's eyes. Refusing this fate, he leaped up and bolted toward the thick woods, but he barely ran 3 steps before a massive wave of energy slammed right into him. Instantly, that heavy pressure burst into a wall of roaring fire, cutting off his escape entirely. The leader strolled over with a mocking sneer, telling him to try running. He bragged that high-tier ability users were the chosen ones, the elite race blessed by the gods. Then he coldly added that trash-like William was only born to serve them. But back in the present, William reached the exact spot where that blue light crashed yesterday, staring at the ruined land. He knew this destruction had to be connected to the new high-tier ability users. 558, his brutal experiences from his past life taught him that these self-proclaimed elites were nothing but monsters wearing human skin, triggering disasters that were way worse than any zombie outbreak. He had to find the truth before it was too late. Following a trail of scorched earth, William quickly spotted a giant crater near a hill, hidden deep inside. A massive white crystal, half his height, glowed with a strange, mystical light that drew him in completely. Approaching the bizarre crystal, a primal hunger suddenly woke up inside of him, urging him to consume the thing. He reached out his hand, his fingers almost touching the cold surface, when sudden panic flared in his mind. Sensing danger, he instantly activated his power and lunged backward, putting plenty of distance between himself and the crystal. His eyes narrowed. Who is there? Just like that, a dark shadow emerged right behind him. The stranger laughed softly, saying that he must be the only survivor of Takahashi. Glances casually at William's glowing fingertips, now aimed straight at his throat. Smiling faintly, he notes that William has pretty good reflexes. Great potential, yet William remains frozen, his energy crackling dangerously at his fingertips. In a low, frozen voice, he demands that the intruder step back, asking who he is. Hearing this frozen threat, the middle-aged man simply waves it off with a chuckle. Fine, fine, he says lightly. My name is Takahashi, a 3rd-tier ability user. But before his introduction even finishes, William's eyes instantly narrow in a flash. He gathers pure energy into his fist and throws a devastating punch. No real flinching, Takahashi remains totally unfazed. Instead, he merely releases a soft pulse of his own strange power. Suddenly, the space around him ripples and distorts in a bizarre, warped wave. Gone in a single heartbeat, Takahashi completely vanishes from the spot. As William prepares to fight, Takahashi's voice echoes near the white crystal, sounding slightly annoyed. He asks why the kid is so incredibly wounded. Just a joke, kid. There is no need to throw hands right away. Pointing casually at the massive white crystal, he tells William to just calm down. He is not here for his friends, only for that massive original core. William slowly lowers his guard, though his face is still highly confused. He is completely lost. What is an original core anyway? Seriously, Takahashi blinks in surprise, then laughs. He assumed William came here because he already knew about this hidden treasure. A rookie, he shakes his head and chuckles at William's ignorance. Apparently, William is just a freshly awakened, Tier 1 rookie after all. Takahashi explains without hiding a thing, asking if he ever played a role-playing game. This crystal is basically a leveling item, he says, snapping his fingers casually. Normally, people absorb regular zombie cores. But that method only works up to Tier 4 at the absolute best. To reach the truly high levels, you absolutely need these original cores instead. He gently taps the giant white crystal with the tip of his finger. A palm-sized shard detaches, floating steadily right into William's waiting hand. Staring down at the glowing shard, William narrows his eyes and asks flatly, "What is the catch here? What do you want from me?" Takahashi just smirks, calling him a pretty smart kid for figuring it out. One day he might need a favor. Until then, just focus on growing. As he speaks, Takahashi's body begins to fade into the warped space. Wait, he drops one last, incredibly cryptic remark. He casually mentions that there really are actual gods in this world. And with those parting words, both Takahashi and the massive core vanish completely. Left completely alone, William stands frozen solid in the quiet room. Heavy silence, Takahashi's warning echoes in his mind. Still hearing the eerie echo, he mutters to himself under his breath. Real gods, no way. That guy must be completely out of his mind. He tries to convince himself such things are impossible in this world. Yet suddenly, the chilling warning of a survivor leader from his past life echoes. High-tier ability users are the new humans chosen by gods, and slowly the unwavering atheism William had clung to for so long begins to crack. He mutters under his breath, if gods really exist, could this apocalyptic world be their doing? As doubts flood his mind, a faint blue light creeps from the cracks beneath his feet, then a sudden